What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper Saturday video. And now that Wilds of Eldraine is out, we have some brand new cards to play with. And I've been toying with quite a few of them. So instead of bringing you a deck that has recently performed well, I am going to bring you a brand new, hot off the presses brew from myself. We are going to be playing a spicy new brew featuring one of my favorite new cards from the set, Brave the Wilds. So without further ado, guys, let's hit the intro and jump into the deck tech. All right, guys, so here we are with the deck list. I decided to go with Bance. I tested Sultai, I tested Temur, I even tested Esper with a splash of green, and none of it felt great, I'll be honest. Temur had Cleansing Wildfire, which was a very good card for that deck. But ultimately, it was Ephemerate for the Kenku Artificer that really gave this deck the life that I felt like it needed. Plus, combined with Spell Pierce and Cyber Cryptomancer, we really have a nice little protection engine once we've animated our lands, and we still get to keep a little bit of the aggro affinity package. Now you'll notice there is no all that glitters in this list, and mainly that was because I couldn't find room for it, but I do think it would be good in this build if we could. Ultimately, this is an artifact synergy deck using the bridges for Brave the Wilds, which is a card that animates a land, and Kenku Artificer, which is another card that animates a land. Now, there have been a lot of discussions around these two cards. Brave the Wilds is a new bargain spell that lets you sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast it to animate a land that becomes a 3/3 elemental with haste. And then Kenku Artificer allows you to animate an artifact and give it 3 1/1 counters and flying. Both of these allow you to animate a land infinitely, or rather permanently. And when you animate one of these indestructible bridges, the creature remains indestructible, which is incredibly powerful. Now, to combat the host of exile effects in the format right now, we are running Spell Pierce and Cyber Cryptomancer in order to protect our lands once we've animated them. You'll notice there's a distinct lack of removal, and ultimately the deck just could not find a good removal that was on tempo and efficient enough in these colors. I did consider Generous Gift. I also considered Journey to Nowhere, and ultimately decided that the deck was usually performing better without them. And just going with a lack of interaction and doubling down on these counter spells and combat tricks in order to really kind of force the issue on the opponent. Ultimately, we ended up cramming a whole bunch of value into this deck in Thraben Inspector, as well as Coiling Oracle, even Archaeomancer for the Ephemerate shenanigans, and Thoughtcast as one of our primary draw engines. Now, out of the sideboard, we have a ton of hate coming in. We have some relics for those graveyard and dread return based strategies. We have annuls. This is good against the white-blue artifact beatdown or all that glitters beatdown, as well as boggles and classic affinity. Dawnbreaker Cleric, another good card in several matchups. It's going to come in against red for the gain life and being a good blocker. It is flickerable to exile at instant speed with Ephemerate against those graveyard decks as well. And destroying an enchantment is obviously good against all that glitters and boggles in general. Weather the Storm is another good card against red, mostly against red, but does come in against some of the other racy matchups. And Dust to Dust is just good artifact hate in the metagame right now in general. Now, what you might be wondering about this deck is, does it really have enough? With no removal, is it really going to be able to beat through the 5/5s? And you'll see that the evasion on the 3/3 from Kenku Artificer, as well as allowing us to put additional counters on it through Cryptomancer with flicker triggers, is very powerful. Ultimately, the deck runs pretty well, but I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to show you. So let's jump in to the games, and I invite you guys to put your ideas down below in the comments. So I am still tuning this deck. I am still trying to figure out how exactly I want to put this together, but it has shown some promise in the last few days of testing, so I wanted to bring this to you guys and just give you my thoughts on this awesome new card, Brave the Wild. So let's jump in to match number 1. All right, going into game number 1 against Batterskull Gadriftic. We are on the play, so we're going to take the play, and this isn't the greatest hand. There's not much refill, but we do have a clue token and a star, double bridge to start with. I think this is fine. It enables most of our decks, so we're going to go ahead and keep this. All right, let's lead on a Thraben Inspector. We can hide a little bit of what this deck is, because opponent will think we're on white-blue affinity. That's a plains from the opponent. Okay. Maybe playing Bully here. We're going to take Pool into Star, hit for 1, and then pass. Ah, opponent playing a black-white brew. Fun. Nothing to do with his 1 white mana. That's good for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7. Whoop. Let's stack. If we get a chance to cast the Spell Pierce, we're probably going to filter for blue into the Chromatic Star. Opponent just passing here. Okay. Unmake. Okay, well this is what this Spell Pierce is for. We're going to draw a card. Draw for turn. Okay, Cryptomancer is great in this matchup. Absolutely fantastic card to draw in this matchup. We're going to go ahead and beat for 5. And pass through to the opponent. Cryptomancer is very, very strong in this matchup because all of their removal is targeted. At least the removal that can kill Myr Enforcer, which is great. Night's Whisper, sure. Bounce land, alright. Sure. Through to end step, we're going to go ahead and draw with this clue. Coiling Oracle. Okay. Well, let's play here. And let's play Coiling Oracle. Thoughtcast. Thoughtcast is good. We're going to go ahead and swing in for 5. Beating in for the opponent. Big hits, big hits. Opponent probably going to chump here, which is fine. We're not going to play this Thoughtcast, which is a little bit telegraphy to the opponent, which is unfortunate. We don't want them to know we have action to stop the kill on the Myr Enforcer, but kind of have to play it this way. Need to play safe. Enforcers are only pressure right now, so can't really afford to lose that. And then we can untap and play the Thoughtcast. Hopefully into like a Kenku or something to animate one of these lands, and do like the unmake tech from the opponent, which is in response, I'm sure, to the indestructible lands. Chainer's Edict. Okay, let's go ahead and sacrifice this guy. Haven Rift Watcher. Okay, cool card. Haven Rift Watcher is a good card. Passing through to me. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and play this Thoughtcast. Ooh, that's pretty good. Let's play this. Let's play this. And let's get in there. Sure. Opponent jump blocking. We're okay with that. Even Rich Watcher is a pretty good card. I do quite like that card. I played it in my cube for quite a while. Guardian of the Guild Pact. That's fine, because my current beater's colorless. So we're okay with that. Opponent only has one black up. Defile's not good enough, so it's pretty safe. And if he double blocks, we are able to Cryptomancer in response, which is good. Okay, opponent passing. We're going to go ahead and crack this clue. Get another Thoughtcast. That's pretty good. Let's play a seat. Let's Thoughtcast. Let's Thoughtcast. Okay, and there is a Kenku, which is good. Blue. Animate that guy. We're gonna attack with this guy. See if he double blocks. If he double blocks, we get to pump, which is great. Okay, so he does pump, or he does double block. Okay. Wait, no. Undo. Can I not reorder the fucking block? Oh, that's so annoying. Why can't I reorder these blockers? Okay. Well, that's very dumb, but oh well. Why can't I reorder these? Oh, that's so stupid. God, I hate that interface. Whatever. Lemboss, okay. Definitely putting some pressure on the opponent here. With even Riftwatcher in the deck, I expect him to be playing Ephemerate or some kind of flicker shenanigans, so I'm wondering if he's playing like the Neverending Nightmare or the new Black Omen enchantment, which is pretty good. Makes people discard. Maybe it's not enough. I don't know. Cast down, sure. Really wish his Guardian was dead, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's go ahead and play this Archaeomancer. Get back one of these Thoughtcasts. Draw some extra cards. Ooh, Ephemerate is a very good hit here. So let's go ahead and get in there. If he has an exile, we can flicker the Cyber Cryptomancer, which is nuts. Cracking a whole bunch of clues here. Digging. Skyfisher to pick up the Lemboss, sure. Yep. Okay. So some black-white Ephemerate brew, it looks like, from the opponent. Is a good deck. All right, at the end step here, I think we want to flicker on this Kenku. And then let's play this. Let's ephemerate Kenku. Let's animate this. Let's play Frogmite, and let's get in there. This should be a huge problem for the opponent. Opponent going to 2. Main phase 2. We're going to play this. Get a land out and pass. We have this this exiled ephemerate kind of hanging over the opponent's head too, because if we get to animate another bridge, I mean, it's real difficult for the opponent to make it through this. Yep, okay. To the sideboard. We don't have a ton for this matchup, to be honest. We're in a pretty good place regardless. Dawnbringers could be good depending on what the opponent is up to, but I think between Spell Pierce, Ephemerate, and Cryptomancer, we're in a really good spot against that. So I think we're just going to run it back as is. It's kind of funny how this deck ended up just being like all of the OP synergies. Like we've got Affinity, we have Archaeomancer, Ephemerate, Cryptomancer, Animating Indestructible Lands, Thraben Inspectors. We just kind of have like all the good cards from these colors, which is pretty hilarious that it just ended up being a pile of like all of the best cards in those colors and all the best things you can do in those colors. Yeah, really wild pile, but it just kind of works, to be honest. These Coiling Oracles do so much work smoothing out the deck. Like, it's crazy. I did not think they would be as good as they were when I added them in, and then the first time I ephemerated one, I was just like, this card's insane. I did toy around with Mole Drifters in this list for the ephemerate shenanigans, but it just didn't feel as good. The Thoughtcast just ended up feeling much better most of the time. All right, game number 2. Starting off pretty strong here, expecting Dust to Dust from the opponent, so we are going to have to fight through those again. But we are going to keep this. This hand is fine. Yeah, okay. We're going to start on a pool and pass. We will get to Coiling Oracle before opponent can Dust to Dust, which is fine. It's pretty good for us. Because hopefully it hits a land. All right, now we're at kind of an impasse. I think we want to hold this Spell Pierce open just in case. That was a great draw from us, so if opponent does curve into a Dust Dust, at least we have the response here. Doesn't look like they have it. Castigate. Hmm. I think we're just going to Spell Pierce to protect our hand here. Not happy about it, but at least it makes opponent continue to play around them, which is good. And he'll Spellbomb. Don't care. That'll stop the Ephemerate loops, but really not the point of the deck. We do want to go ahead and cast this Coiling Oracle. Hit a land. Keep the Spell Pierce mana open again, just in case, so they have to play around it. I mean, we knew that was coming. It's unfortunate. The Castigate, brutal from the opponent to clear the way. But not the worst. We can rebuild. Let's go ahead and play this. And we're going to attack. Suppose we should have done that last turn too. Night's Whisper. Okay. They're drawing a lot of cards. Skyfisher. Bouncing Cabaret Crossroads, probably? Oh no, bouncing a Spellbomb. Okay, just the Jukabogging us. This is fine. We don't care at all. Okay, okay. That's not bad. 3. I think we want to go 4, 5 Thoughtcast. And probably just ephemerate this while we can. I think we want to just ephemerate this now. Okay. Brave the Wilds. Not what we hoped for, but it is fine. We played our land. Let's just pass it up. Okay, Thraben Inspector, that's fine. One, two, three, four. Oh, Pestilence. Okay. This is fine. Sure. Pain. You got it. Yep. No, we're not going to cast that. No. Okay. So, what do we have to do about that? Let's go with 3, 4. 5. Yeah, let's do it like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, at least now opponent can't do anything about that. Nihil Spellbomb is fine. Clue, that's fine. Bouncing Bajukabog, maybe? Or are they bouncing and a gain land again? Gain land. Okay, sure. Okay. Taking 3 here. This is fine. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still not my favorite. Opponent can. Do we want to give this guy flying just to hold this off so he has to blow up the board if he wants to get rid of it? I I think let's just hold the mana open. I don't really like any of our hits here. I think we're just gonna go to attacks. Cast Downing the Thraben Inspector, sure. Don't care about that at all. It's those unmakes I'm worried about. Chainer's Edict. Okay, well, I guess we have to reveal the tech now. Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. I did not think about that. Yeah. Ooh, that's bad. Oof, really big punt there. Feel like that was a rather large misstep. Okay. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Do we keep the pressure on the opponent? I feel like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We go to 2 that way. I feel like we have to hold back, unfortunately. I don't like that, but we'll make the opponent do something. I'm down to 3 cards. A lot of their removals online against this, yeah. It's a shame, but it kind of is what it is. All right, opponent got us here. Let's go to game 3. I like these Dawnbringer clerics, especially if they're gonna bring in Pestilence, or if they're a big Pestilence deck. So let's bring in the Dawnbringer clerics. I like our run out most of the time, so let's get rid of these Frog Mites. They seem pretty meh, and we'll drop a single Ephemerate. No, we'll drop a. Hmm. We'll drop a Brave. And we'll submit like that. All right, we're going to be on the play for game 3. This is a fine hand. We'll go ahead and keep that. Gonna Coiling Oracle into Coiling Oracle. Let's play one of these, pass it up. Okay, tap land for the opponent. Hit a land. Ideally a white land. Nice. Okay. Nihil Spellbomb from the opponent. Sure, no problem. Could not care less about Nihil Spellbomb, actually. Showing us a tap land means that we might be safe against Dust Dust here too, which is great. Five. And let's go 6, 7. Let's go right into a Mirror Enforcer here, and then just get in there. Turn 3 Mirror Enforcer is okay. It is a lot of pressure, though, from the opponent. They're going to have to spend mana dealing with this, which means they don't have Dust to Dust, which is great for us. Sure. Raven Inspector. Opponent has a tapped land we know about. Could still just cast down this Mirror Enforcer. Definitely a thing they could do. Could just land cast down. Cracks the clue. Okay, digging for an answer here. We love that from the opponent. We are way ahead in lands. Do we run out the Kenku? I feel like we do, just to start really applying pressure. If opponent doesn't have exactly Dust to Dust, this is really strong from us. Opponent does have Dust to Dust. It's a little rough, but I think we hold back to bluff the Spell Pierce here. We know opponent's white source is tapped, so don't have that. Unless they hit a plains. Pretty much exactly plains would be the only way they Dust to Dust, but we're still representing a Spell Pierce here, which is pretty important. Okay, Lemboss, that's not a Dust to Dust. We are okay with that. Really starting to mount a pretty strong offensive here on curve against the opponent here. Opponent on 8 cards has not played a land. We know they have a tap land. Okay. There's a Skyfisher. Picking up the Limboss. Yep. Still digging. Okay, this is fine. Okay, Seed of the Synod means we can go ahead and Kenku this guy as well. And then that really lets us get in there. Really starting to mount some pressure here. We don't really want to throw these guys into the blockers, but I guess if they block these, they're taking a lot. I think we just push 10 here. Next turn we can attack with everybody. Okay. Now a single Dust to Dust is not good enough. Dust to Dust Chainers isn't even good enough. So really putting on the pressure here against the opponent. Gotta keep the Spell Pierce up just in case. Make them play around it, you know? We've held this card in hand pretty much all game, so it is something the opponent has to play around. And they are still one shy of being able to Dust to Dust through a Spell Pierce. So that and Dust to Dust not enough for them right now. We're going to be able to attack for 3, 5, 7 next turn with no additional help, even if they Dust to Dust our land plus our Enforcer. So we're in a pretty good spot. Okay, there's the tapped white source we know about. Opponent, no way they're attacking here. Unmake. Let's go ahead and crack this clue just to see what we get. That's a thought cast. That's fine. We are going to thought cast. We're gonna play a land, and we're just gonna get him in there. I mean, there's very little the opponent can do against this kind of pressure. Okay, no problem. You can draw. That's no big deal. I'm not looking for, what, a snuff out? Not a whole lot you can do about this. If opponent has a snuff out, we're absolutely winning. I think they kill themselves if they play a snuff out. Yep. Okay, throws away the Skyfisher. Taking 7. We keep the Spell Pierce up. Never didn't have it. We've had it the whole time. Don't tell anybody. If opponent plays a Dust to Dust, we have Spell Pierce. An opponent dies to exact damage with all of our other, even if opponent pays for the Spell Pierce. So we are in a great position here to win this match. This deck feels so good. I mean, it is definitely susceptible to Dust. That is a huge hit, but with the Spell Pierces and Ephemerates, Ephemerate noticeably a little bit worse, but it can save your land in a pinch if it needs to. But the Spell Pierces do a lot of work. We just need them to line up correctly, and we'll be all right. All right, opponent taking an awful long time here. Cycling a Secluded Step, sure. Fishing for a Dust to Dust. Alrighty, guys. Game number 2 against IceCon, or match number 2, rather. We are on the draw. We have a pretty good start here. We're going to go ahead and keep this for game 1. Lonely Sandbar. Not sure what that would be in. Let's go ahead and start with a Tangle Pool. Opponent pretty aware of what we're playing now. Not much plays this. Opponent might be on mono blue. Ooh, Jace's Erasure. Wild. Okay. Okay, so how do we want to play this? We want to, like, Chrome Star and then pass with a Spell Pierce up? I suppose hitting the Jace's Erasure would have been much better there, but is okay. Brainstorm, sure. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of triggers. Okay. Still a lot of work to do from the opponent here. We're going to apply some pressure pretty quick here. Next turn, we're going to play a whole bunch of stuff. This is fine. Mill 3 dudes. Yep. We're just going to pass. Kenku, side. Wow, 3 action cards hit from the opponent. It's pretty good. Mind Sculpt. Okay. Okay. Little lackluster there. Wish we would have done better. One Marin Forcer. We do have an Ephemerate in the graveyard. A Relic from the opponent. Straight up? Really? Do we care about this? I feel like we might not care about this. Okay. Alright, let's Spell Pierce that. That's getting a little annoying. Wow. Opponent has an incredible run out here. On a mono blue mill. This is wild from the opponent. Okay. So how do we do this? I think we have to do a Coiling Oracle here because we need lands. That's not a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man. Alright, well let's get in there, I guess. Opponent down to 2 cards, so really not the scariest. We do need to hit another land, though. This is a crazy run out from the opponent. Tome Scour Mind Sculpt. Tome Scour Mind Sculpt. Okay. Exile both yards. This is fine. 20 cards left in deck. 3 cards in hand from the opponent. Goes to end step. Okay. Wow. This is craziness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How are we missing so many land drops? Do we just have to, like, present a clock and get in there, maybe? I feel like we kind of do with 19 cards left in library. We're at kind of where we need to be. Let's just... Yeah, let's get in there for 6. Let's present a clock for the opponent. Throw on a 2-turn clock. We're pretty close to a 2-turn clock, though. 19 cards. Wow. Okay. Stream of Thought. Down to 7 cards. Wow. I might actually get there. This is wild. Just has nothing but gas, which is craziness. Okay. I can get a Spell Pierce back, but I'm tapped out. If I Coiling Oracle, no. I think we have to play this. And then just get them in there. And hope opponent can't mill us for 5. I mean, they've hit every mill spell in their deck by now, right? Like, we're gonna go to 5. Hope they just have another Stream of Thought. Cycle, okay. This is not the best. They do, in fact, just have another Stream of Thought. Too bad it's just enough. That's brutal. Okay. All right, so opponent on a real weird deck. I mean, Dawnbringers are going to be great here. Annuls don't seem very good. Spell Pierce seems much better. But we don't need Cryptomancers, so we're going to get rid of those. The rest of these cards seem fine. Really just need to present a clock to the opponent much faster than we did last round. So let's try it. I expect the opponent to have like snaps or something in this next round. Gonna need to spell pierce the discard 7s, I think. This is definitely a bit more mid-rangey though, so the pressure from the discard deck is real. That was a very fast mill. That was probably what, turn 6? Yeah, man, I really needed to have one more mana so that I could Archaeomancer for the Spell Pierce back. That was really what did it. Alright, I'll be on the play. This is nowhere near good enough. Wow. This is, again, nowhere near good enough. Alright, this is much better. Not great, but better. 1, 2. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright, let's yield to the opponent. See what they got for us. Couple mulligans doesn't actually hurt in this. Whenever a player casts a blue spell, you may pay 1 if you do target player mills 2 cards. Okay, that's a weird card, but sure. His deck seemed way too tight on mana for that to be super effective, but maybe it is. Who knows? Go for another erasure. Home Scour. Okay. Let's go ahead and Spell Pierce that. Ooh, he can trigger it off of mine? That's so good. Okay. Yeah, attack me for 1. Sure. We're okay with that. Okay. Let's attack. Keep some mana open. Cycle. Attacks for 1. Sure. End step. Okay. Let's crack this to draw. Star, I guess. Okay. That's fine. One holding Counterspell up. Okay. Cycling again. Alright. This is fine. This is a weird way to play out this deck. Alright, there's the erasure. Okay, he's gonna play it. That's fine. We draw a land. So let's make a blue. Play a Raven Inspector. It's fine. You can trigger your Drowner Initiate. Yep, he pays it. Okay. Really just trying to provide a clock as fast as possible against the opponent here. Opponent is going to have a lot more mana this time, though, and we do not have a Spell Pierce open. 42. Okay. Jace's Phantasm. 10 or more cards in my graveyard. Okay. Flying 5/5. Sure. Wild that we didn't see any of this in the first game. I suppose, like, we didn't see any of this. An opponent went through his whole hand several times, which is crazy. Do we believe that opponent has a counterspell? He hasn't played like he has a counterspell, but if he does, it's pretty brutal. He's never getting through with Phantasm, and this is a much slower round. I think we can afford to hold off and just pop the clue here. Yeah, I feel like we're supposed to just hold off here and pop the clue. Heal until end step. Okay, Milk Wailing Oracle. There's a Mind Sculpt. Jeez, that's so brutal. Opponent still representing this counterspell really strongly. Okay, that Spell Pierce is very good for us. He did not pay it. So that, I mean, he has to have a counterspell here, right? Counterspell. Okay, good. We're not afraid of 6 damage here, so I think we have to put him in a position to lose the game. Spell Pierce was a great draw there. Could still definitely stand to... Wow, okay. He's just taking 8, going to 5. Okay. That's an interesting decision, because that means that he is under pressure to kill me here. It could be possible. I have no idea what this deck is capable of. I have 27 cards. If he goes like Tome Scour, Tome Scour, Tome Scour, Tome Scour. And like mill 4. Target creature and opponent controls doesn't untap. Okay. I still think we win. Chase's Erasure. Okay. We're going to have another Kenku here to animate and attack with. Opponent has 1 card in hand. If it's not a counterspell, he's in trouble. Do we just go for the win? I feel like we just go for the win. He's paying for it, so he doesn't have counterspell. That's great. And then we just get in there. Does opponent have like Vapor Snag or something? This should be enough. This opponent has something weird going on. Okay, great. So, opponent didn't show us anything new. Well, did, but I don't think it's anything we care about. Didn't see any Dawnbringers, but that's fine. I think we just run it back. Everything seemed like it was the right choice for that matchup, so let's run it back. Go into game 3. Man, so far the deck seems very powerful, but definitely a couple of weaknesses we need to address. All right, I'm on the draw against the opponent, though, which is a bit worrisome. Maybe I'm supposed to just sideboard my whole sideboard in. That could be a strat here. Okay, we're going to keep this. We're going to put... this Ancient Den back. Sealed through. Just Mind Sculpts. Okay. I suppose we're just supposed to star here and pass it up. Spell Pierce, and Enforcer, and Dawnbringer Cleric. Wow, triple Enforcer milled from the opponent. That's brutal. It's going to counterspell this Frogmite. Do we care about that Frogmite? No, I think we just let him counterspell that. Gotta get rid of Jace's Erasure. That's the big hit. Mind Sculpt. I guess we Spell Pierce that, or he has another land drop. Okay. It's basically a Time Walk, which is fantastic. Brave the Wilds, cast with Bargain on this guy, sacrificing this guy. Let's get this out, and let's attack. Down to 40 cards, but opponent only on 3 cards in hand. There's the Erasure. We knew that was coming. Thought Scour. Okay. Pretty good. Really just need to mount as much board pressure as possible. So let's blue-green for a Coiling Oracle. Hopefully draw some power here. Dawnbringer Cleric is huge. Great. Okay, that's big. Another erasure. Yikes. Okay. Betrayal. Enchant creature. When enchanted creature becomes tapped, you draw a card. Okay. Ephemerate would be great here. Kenku. Okay. Is dead next turn. I'm at 33 cards, so should have this locked up unless opponent has an absolutely crazy turn. Opponent on a really wild mono blue deck. I liked the first one I saw, but the deck after sideboard or games 2 and 3 drew entirely differently, which is pretty wild. But game 1, man, that deck felt great. Sure, Thought Scour or Stream of Thought. This is fine. Relic. Yeah, no problem. You're just dead, bro. You're just dead. Sure, I go to 27 cards. Mills a Spell Pierce. It's a little unfortunate, but it's fine. I don't know what he could have here. Yep, you're gonna draw a card. Mill me one, sure. But you take lethal. GG's to the opponent. Okay, so after a couple of test matches and then some additional test matches off camera, definitely feel like the deck is really strong. Brave the Elements definitely adds to the pressure that the deck can put out for sure. Really, really happy with that card. The Archaeomancer Ephemerate value thing very rarely comes together, but when it does, it feels really good. And Ephemerate on Kenku Artificer and Saiba Cryptomancer is just absolutely gross. And Ephemerating on Coiling Oracle stacks up a lot of value very quickly. Myr Enforcers, Frogmites felt fine. Myr Enforcer is just Myr Enforcer, card's good. Thoughtcast, Saiba Cryptomancer felt good. Thraben Inspector felt good. The stars helped, but mostly they were just sacrifice fodder for Brave the Wilds, but fine, and you kind of need extra artifacts, so those are fine. Sideboard still feels a little rough. I do think the 4th Dust to Dust is a little bit better than the 3rd Dawnbringer Cleric, but I could be wrong. Definitely really, really like the deck. Make sure you guys hit the sub button down below. Make sure you're subscribed. I have to keep asking because it keeps working, but thank you so much for watching this week's video. Hope you enjoyed the deck. I will have the deck link down in the description, as well as the Discord link in which we brewed this deck. So go ahead and jump in there and join in all the Pauper fun. As usual, guys, thank you so much. Goodbye forever, unless I see you next time. Peace out. Bye.